Doug and Tracy are about to be married. 2 days before the wedding, to celebrate his upcoming marriage to Tracy, Doug travels to Las Vegas with his best friends Phil and Stu, as well as Tracy's brother Alan. Alan is Doug's socially inept, future brother-in-law, who suffers from ADHD and acts childishly and erratically. Doug wants to cancel as there are too many things left to do, but Tracy insists since Alan has packed his bags over 2 weeks ago and is really excited. Alan is not supposed to be within 200 feet of a school or Chuck E. Cheese. Tracy tells Doug not to let Alan gamble or drink too much. Alan is an expert at counting cards. Phil gathered money from his students on the pretext of a class trip, and that's his spending money for Vegas. Stu has a dominating girlfriend, Melissa, whom he has told that he is going to wine country. Phil believes that marriage kills the freedom and personality of a man. Phil is livid that Stu has to lie to Melissa about going to Vegas, but she had sex with a bartender on her vacation on a cruise liner. They travel in Doug's future father-in-law Sid's vintage Mercedes-Benz W111. They check into a hotel villa in Caesar's Palace and celebrate with a few drinks on the hotel rooftop. The next morning, Phil, Stu, and Alan awaken to find they have no memory of the previous night. Doug is nowhere to be found, Stu's tooth is missing, the suite is in disarray, a tiger is in their bathroom, a chicken is in their living room, and a baby is in the closet. They see Doug's mattress impaled on a statue outside of Caesar's Palace, and when they ask for their Mercedes, the valet delivers an LVPD police cruiser. Phil has a hospital tag on him, and that's where they decide to start their search for Doug. Using clues to retrace their steps, the trio travel to a hospital where they discover from Dr. Valsh they were drugged with Rohypnol, known as roofies, causing their memory loss, and that they went to the hospital from a chapel the previous night. At the chapel, they learn that Stu married a stripper named Jade, despite being in a long-term relationship with his domineering and philandering girlfriend Melissa. Eddie was the wedding organizer and a witness. The baby belongs to Jade. The guys want the marriage annulled, but Eddie needs both parties for the annulment. Outside the chapel, the trio is attacked by gangsters saying they are looking for someone. They flee and track down Jade. They return the baby to Jade. They are then arrested by the police for having stolen a police cruiser. After being told that the Mercedes has been impounded, the trio are released when they unknowingly volunteer to be targets for a taser demonstration. While driving the Mercedes, they discover a naked Chinese man named Mr. Chow in the trunk. Chow jumps out of the trunk, beats the trio up with a crowbar and flees. Alan confesses that he drugged their drinks to ensure they had a good night, believing the drug to be ecstasy. Returning to their suite, they find the boxer Mike Tyson, who orders the trio to return his tiger to his mansion immediately. Stu drugs the tiger, load it into the Mercedes, and drive towards Tyson's home. However, the tiger awakens midway and attacks them, clawing Phil on the neck and damaging the car's interior. After pushing the car, the rest of the way to the mansion, they deliver the tiger to Tyson. While driving back, their car is intentionally T-boned by a black Cadillac Escalade. The passengers are revealed to be the gangsters from the chapel, and their boss Chow. Chow accuses the trio of kidnapping him and stealing $80,000 in poker chips. Chow says that he kept the chips in his satchel, which got exchanged with Alan's satchel. When Chow found the mistake and went after the guy, Phil put him in the car trunk. As the trio denies this, Chow tells them he has Doug, and threatens to kill him if it is not returned. Unable to find Chow's $80,000, Alan, with help from Stu and Jade, uses his knowledge of card counting to win $82,400 playing blackjack. The next morning, they meet with Chow in the desert and exchange the chips for Doug, only to find this Doug is the African-American drug dealer who accidentally sold Alan the roofies. With Doug's wedding set to occur in 5 hours, Phil calls Tracy to tell her that they cannot find Doug. Meanwhile, in discussion with Stu, African-American Doug mentions that someone that takes roofies is more likely to end up on the floor than on the roof. Stu suddenly realizes where Doug is before Phil can reveal Doug's disappearance to Tracy. The trio travels back to Caesar's Palace where they find a dazed and sunburned Doug on the roof. They realize that they had moved him there on his mattress the previous night as a practical joke but immediately forgot when the roofies wore off. Doug had thrown the mattress onto the statue in an attempt to signal help. Before leaving, Stu makes arrangements to go on a date with Jade the following week. Jade returns the ring back to Stu. Jade also reveals that Stu pulled out his own tooth when Alan bet him that he wasn't good enough to pull out his own tooth. With no flights available back to Los Angeles, the four quickly drive home to make the wedding. Despite their late arrival, Doug and Tracy are married. At the wedding, Stu angrily breaks up with Melissa, having grown tired of her personality. As the reception ends, Alan finds Stu's digital camera containing photos of the events from the night in Las Vegas, and the four agree to look at the pictures together before deleting them. The movie ends here. Like and subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming movies.